Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on this massive severe weather event that we've gotten floating across two areas of the country today. We've got the Northeast and the Mid Atlantic that will be experiencing some strong to severe storms. But we do have a very high. Well, it's not exactly a high risk, but we have a moderate risk out for severe weather for portions of Nebraska and Kansas. We're going to be watching that system very closely as we could see some serious damage and wind gusts, some large hail, and maybe an isolated tornado or two. But, to start things off, I don't know why this isn't playing, but we'll deal with that. But to start things off, you have this bunch of storms that's going to be moving their way across portions of the interior Northeast, and then they're going to be moving closer to the coastline, delivering some pretty intense thunderstorm action towards very heavily populated areas along the coastline, like New York City, Trenton, New Jersey, maybe Boston. And a lot of areas in Connecticut. So the entire area of southern New England that I'm circling here is pretty much, you guys are pretty much going to get the worst of what's in stock for the Northeast today. And then for you guys in the central U.S., you've got a very intense line of storms that's about to slam Omaha, Nebraska. You guys got to get prepared if you are not already. It's going to get, you guys are going to get hit hard in just a matter of minutes. It's probably entering the western uh, parts of the city right now as I speak. So, really, you guys, please just make sure that you are staying safe today, as these storms are severe, as we've been seeing severe thunderstorm watches. And if we haven't already, I think we'll see a severe thunderstorm watch that'll be issued by the National Weather Service, and it'll be out for at least 24 hours of today. I really think that all times of today, you guys can in the north central U.S. And the central U.S. can all see some severe weather. Just it's a matter of where and when these storms are going to hit. But we also do have a little low pressure storm out here. This is a little tropical rainstorm that's been impacting parts of the southeast. This was actually forecasted to have a shot at becoming a tropical storm or tropical depression. This did not form anything right now. It's just hitting parts of South Carolina and Georgia uh, as a subtropical storm. This is just a tropical rainstorm. And then pretty much everywhere else around the country have a scattered thunderstorms that could potentially get severe, but our main threats are in the Northeast and the Central U.S. Here's that heat dome that's stretching across the South Central U.S. This is terrible, guys. I am telling you, it is every day out there in New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and then maybe even Colorado, some places southern Colorado. It is like in the 110s. Street signs are melting. It's like, there's pictures of street signs that are melted. There's pictures of garbage cans and recycling cans that are melted. Backs of cars that are even melting. It is so hot that, it's like almost you can't even live there. So I'm telling you guys, this is not good. This is dangerous heat. And this is going to pretty much probably stay for the rest of August. But I'm telling you guys, I would say if you're over 110 degrees for pretty much every day of the week, you gotta get out of that heat. That is dangerous heat, and it really, just it changes everybody's moods, and just it drives everyone crazy, and it's causes a lot of trouble out there when it gets that hot. But we move on to our alerts, and you can see that we've got starting off up here in the Northeast, you've got a heat advisory that's including all of Connecticut, all of Rhode Island, parts of eastern Massachusetts, snakes this way down into Long Island, New York City, southern New Jersey. Skips the northern half of New Jersey because you guys are going to be cooling off a little bit today, as that cold front's going to be that trough. It's going to be moving down from Canada, but that is a cold front that's really going to be driving that severe weather, but it's also going to be pushing some cooler air closer to the coastline. So if you're closer to the coastline today in the Northeast, you're still going to probably be hanging on to those lower 90s for your temperatures. But if you're up here, like if you're even if you're in like southern New York State, Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, you guys will see some cooler temperatures, but it's still pretty hot along the coastline. This snakes its way down into the Delmarva area. Then you get included in that excessive heat warning. That's in place for parts of the coastal regions of Virginia, parts of the Delmarva area, the interior coastal regions of the Delmarva area, and then we also see another that same heat advisory stretched its way down into parts of central Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. For the central U.S., you've got a heat advisory once again, including the entire state of Mississippi, a lot of Alabama. It stretches its way into the eastern portions of Louisiana, the northern areas of Louisiana, parts of Arkansas, a lot of Arkansas, as a matter of fact, southern and central Missouri. That's where you actually get included in that excessive heat warning. If you go a little bit closer west, a little bit closer to like the Kansas Missouri borderline, that's where you see those temperatures really get higher and higher because that heat dome is spreading closer to you guys. So the farther west you go, if you're in Missouri, if you're in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, that's where the most heat is. But we also do have that severe thunderstorm watch I was talking about with that storm that's about to slam Omaha, Nebraska. Well, here it is. You got very like 5 counties right now under severe thunderstorm warnings out here in southeastern Nebraska. So gotta watch out for some of those storms all day. Severe weather statement for one county up here in northern Kansas. And then we see for the rest of the country, you've got a red flag warning for parts of southeastern southeastern Washington State, southeastern Washington State, also southeastern Oregon. We also do have parts of Northern California, northwestern Nevada. You guys are also included in a red flag warning. You guys don't think this is a severe thunderstorm warning. It might be. Wow, it actually no, it's a heat advisory. I believe this is a heat advisory for areas along the coastline of Southern California, and if you go a little bit further west, just towards just along the Southern California and the Arizona borderline, you have excessive heat warnings. This is for those areas that are seeing temperatures so high that they can melt things, and it's been like this entire area has been under an excessive heat warning for like months. It's just crazy. It's like all summer we see the same story unfold across this region, but the entire border of California and Arizona is under an excessive heat warning, which is pretty scary. But we're going to be moving on to our temperatures for today. And starting off, this was about 8 a.m. this morning. You had a lot, pretty much everyone in the eastern U.S. was starting out the same in the lower 70s. If you go a little bit further south, you can see 80s pop up here, scattered 80s, but mainly mid to upper 70s. Then once we get into this afternoon, those midday hours, you can see those highs really start building up. Here's your heat dome. You got kind of two areas under the heat dome. You've got one along the borderline of California and Arizona. That's where we saw it. Then there's a little bit of a dip in the heat, and then it stretches all the way across the country. It's a massive area under a very, very intense heat dome. But for the Northeast, you guys were going to be in the upper 80s. You could see this is where your cold front is. It is getting pretty chilly. You could see 55 degrees right here, close to the Canada and upstate New York borderline. That is that's not normal for summer. Right now it should be 60 to 70, maybe 80 degrees up here, but 55 is like, fall to winter. That's actually kind of surprising to see how it's going to get that cold. So that tells you that trough and that cold front's going to be very, very strong. So it's going to get cooled down a lot. So you're going to see a huge difference in that temperature kind of feel. But if you stay a little closer to the coastline, you can see New York City up to about 96 degrees. That's pretty hot. But you could see up here in this close to Boston area, 86, up here in Maine, 82. So really for the interior parts of the Northeast, you'll be either in the 80s, the 90s, or if you're like really really extreme far north, like upstate regions of New Hampshire, Vermont, New York State, and then obviously Maine, you'll get a lot cooler, and you'll get into the 70s, 60s, and then here you got the 50s for some. We go into the southeast and the mid Atlantic. Look at this, 98 degrees in southern Virginia. I think all of you guys, have a shot at seeing 100 degrees, especially if you're closer to the coastline. This area right here that I'm circling, this area right here, I think is going to see 100 degrees today. Because there's just that heat dome is really trying to get its way into the eastern U.S. closer to the coastline. And you see these pinks showing up here. That's where 100 degrees is kind of labeled right here. You can see 100 degrees is in between the pink and the red. But here's the worst of your heat dome. This is right here in the central U.S. 105 degrees out here in east central Kansas. Missouri, you guys, I think all of you guys are going to be in the hundreds today. The mid to upper 90s for you guys in southern Illinois. If you're in northern Illinois, it's going to be a little bit cooler, so maybe mid to upper 80s. If you're in the northwestern U.S., closer to the coastline, there's a little bit of a cold snap here and a little bit of a cold area. This is going to bring temperatures down into the 70s and 60s. But overall temperature for you guys, you'll be in the 70s, 80s, and some of you could touch 90 to 95 or 96 degrees, like we see here in southern Idaho. Southwestern U.S. This is going to be the area with this is going to be the hottest. Every areas with the hottest temperatures for today. Southern California, 103 to 105 degrees. Same thing for you guys in Arizona. And this is not even midday for you guys. Remember that this is midday for the eastern U.S. This is Eastern time. That's why it says local, because I use Eastern time. But when we go to 8 o'clock, you'll really start to see these temperatures go flying. But for you guys in the deep southeast, pretty much upper 90s for most of you guys. You guys in Florida, Panhandle of Florida, you guys could see 100 degrees. Same thing for you guys in Texas, Dallas area, 100 degrees, pretty much definite for you guys. But then we move on to the uh, the evening hours of today. You got 8 p.m. This is where you guys start to bake out there in the western U.S. Look at this, 109 to 111 degrees out here. This is it's so hot. It is brutal heat. This is extreme heat right now. This is extreme heat you're looking at on the GFS model. But you could see that it's just everyone's going to be very very hot today. More explosive thunderstorms that are going to be bringing those temperatures way down in the central U.S. This whole pocket of like cooler air, this is it's actually interesting to look. These are all thunderstorms. All these little bubbles of cooler air, those are thunderstorms, and it's really interesting to see that on the temperature map, just because the sun isn't exposed. The ground isn't exposed to the sun nearly as much as when we have no clouds, and so when you have thunderstorms, the clouds cover up the sun so that it's a lot less cooler, and it's very very interesting to see that, and that's what we're seeing on up here on the GFS for temperature. I'm gonna try and get this update in pretty quickly, so I'm gonna be skipping ahead to our north central forecast for today. And we're just gonna be looking at what are who's going to get the severe weather and how bad is it going to be. We're going to look at kind of the characteristics of these severe thunderstorms and see which areas are going to get hit the hardest. But you start out here in the morning hours of today. This is pretty much where we are right now. You've got your storm that's about to slam or is slamming parts of Omaha, Nebraska. This is northwestern and northeastern and parts of eastern Nebraska. You guys are gonna get hit by this storm, and then an area of high pressure is gonna take over with this, and so it's weakening as it hits the city, which is a good sign, but it could definitely give some gusty winds, maybe drop some hail. But we look at the rest of you guys for today. We're getting it to 2 p.m. This is about midday. You still don't see much thunderstorm action. So you don't really see much after that one storm until you get to this is 8 9 p.m. Here's your line of storms. These storms are going to be tornado producers. If you're going to see tornadoes today, I don't think you're going to see a tornado today. If you do though, it's going to be from one of these storms. You can see that they are very curvy out here, which is a sign of, supercells. They're well lined up, so that kind of shows you that the dynamics are they're lining up for these storms, and that's showing up here on the NAM 3KM model. But I really think that these storms are going to be those hail producers and those tornado producers. Um, and the areas that are going to get hit are probably going to be portions of central to eastern Missouri, parts of southern Illinois, stretching into parts of um Kentucky. But if you're in Kentucky, I don't think you guys are gonna get hit the hardest by these storms. I think if you're closer west, like a little bit farther west, like closer to the areas of central and uh eastern Missouri, I think you guys could see a little bit of a higher tornado threat with these storms. But the timing for this is gonna be around 9 10, and then maybe some of you could get it as early as 8 p.m. tonight. Um and then we go on to the overnight hours of tonight. You get into the extreme early morning hours of tomorrow. That's where you start seeing some more thunderstorm action build across parts of Nebraska, parts of southern parts of the Dakotas, and then a little bit of an area of high pressure, weak high pressure will try and take this over, but it kind of fails to. And then it enters that same area of Missouri, and I don't think this will have any tornado threat with it. I think this you could wake up to some rumbles, thunder, maybe some lightning out here, but that's going to be it at best. And we're already getting into the late afternoon hours of tomorrow. This is around 4 p.m. And the most storm action you're seeing is really down here in northern Arkansas. The rest of you guys are going to be pretty much dry. So it's gonna be a hit or miss kind of situation here. It's not a massive storm system. It's just gonna be a few rounds of clusters of thunderstorms. It's gonna be flying through this region throughout today and tomorrow. But I really think that Nebraska's going to get hit the hardest. Some of you guys in western and central Missouri are going to get hit by some of these storms. Southern Illinois, but it's a lot of scattered thunderstorms. That scattered severe thunderstorms that are possible. But that enhanced risk is right. Let me get rid of sounding. It's right in here. This is where we have that enhanced risk. But we're going to continue watching these storms for all areas, just in case we have some major changes with the forecast. But it's looking pretty much like we're just going to see some scattered severe thunderstorms for the entire area. So we move on to the HRRR model. I just want to show you guys this just to kind of point out which storms could actually have a damaging wind gust, embedded with it. And here you go, this little cluster of storms moving through southeastern Nebraska. Look at this. This red, you see, this is yellow, green, red, and then maybe even some purple in there. Look at the scale here. You can see that these are wind gusts ranging from 28 all the way up to 50 miles an hour. So these would be considered damaging wind gusts, I would say. So this would be one of those storms that that would be producing damaging wind gusts. And you notice, hey, it's actually it's inside that same exact area of that enhanced risk. So very interesting to see that. So that kind of, you can point that out very easily out there. But you still see these damaging wind, well, not exactly damaging wind gusts anymore. We get this is pretty much an hour from now. We get to 12, so this is noon, and you see that damaging wind gusts really die down, but you still have wind gusts ranging all the way from 20 to 30 miles an hour. So it's still going to be breezy, but I really do think that right now is when we're seeing pretty much the worst of these storms. This was 10 a.m., so maybe even an hour ago. This is when we saw those storms, so maybe it's over. But that's going to be our round one. Then this tries to recycle and re-strengthen. That's telling you guys, that's also showing a sign of this becoming a supercell, because it could recycle and then strengthen again. And here it goes. You can see in northwestern parts of northwestern Missouri, you can see that red up here. That's pretty much wind gusts ranging from 36 to 40, 45 miles an hour. Those are still pretty intense wind gusts that can knock down some pretty big tree limbs from dead trees out there. So watch out for that storm. Then you got two storms out here, two separate storms. The same one that will be impacting areas pretty close to St. Louis. I think if you're in the suburbs of St. Louis, you could get hit by a damaging wind gust storm today. But then there's another one out here in southwestern Missouri. That one could also produce damaging wind gusts anywhere from 30 to 40, 45. I don't think you'll see 50, but there's still a chance for that. You could definitely see 40 miles an hour from any of these storms. And then you see some more storm action off to the west. Now you're seeing severe thunderstorm action off to the portions of western Nebraska. Those could also have damaging wind gusts. You can see this little funky looking line of storms. This is going to be producing all over at 20 to 40, 45, and then possibly 50 miles an hour with these storms. I think 50 is a little bit over the top. I think really a good range for these storms is going to be about 35 to 40 miles an hour. And I think at least one person today is going to see a wind gust over 45 miles an hour. But, you know, we continue this throughout the rest of tomorrow. We're gonna get to the very early morning hours of tomorrow, and the only thing left you have is just this line of storms that's gonna be producing some stronger wind gusts. But we go over to the NAM3 camo for the Cape, and basically the higher number of Cape you see here, like you have 3,000 joules per kilograms of Cape. That's considered a high number of Cape. That tells you kind of where the highest threat for severe weather is going to be, just because there's a lot of favorable conditions out there for severe weather. So the higher the number of Cape, the more favorable conditions there are for severe weather. That's going to be our kind of thinking today. But we start out where we are right now. Here's that area of southeastern Nebraska, almost at 5,000 joules per kilograms of Cape. That is very, very intense. That tells you that there's almost a guaranteed risk of severe storms in this area today. Same thing for you guys in southwestern Iowa. Look at this. You actually do hit 5,000 for some of you in northwestern parts of northwestern Missouri and southwestern Iowa. Look at this. You're in the upper 4,000s. Here you go. 5,008 joules per kilograms of Cape. This entire area and region of purple, whites, and pinks. This is all, these are all very favorable conditions for severe weather. And then you see these oranges, these yellows, and these reds. Those are still favorable conditions for Cape. It's just a little bit less. That's going to be for pretty much this entire region. You can see this snakes its way all the way from western to central Nebraska, down into parts of southern Iowa, into all of Missouri, and then parts of southern Illinois. But everyone scattered around here could get over 4,000 joules per kilograms of Cape today. And we get into the afternoon hours of today. Let me get this going for you guys. You can see that it's kind of changing here as you have a very, very strong cold front that's moving down from Canada, pushing this storm. You could see as we get a little bit farther into today, like we get to the 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. time frame, you could see this area get really pushed down, and it shrinks. It gets pushed down farther south to areas more like northern Kansas, where you guys will have some higher levels of Cape here. But I think that areas with the most favorable conditions of severe weather are going to be in all of Missouri, a lot of southwestern Iowa, southern and portions of eastern Nebraska, parts of western Nebraska, you two guys, and then just northern Kansas for today. Tomorrow, you guys in central and southern Kansas could see more of a severe weather threat, but for today, I think it's going to be northern and central Kansas. But you get some more Cape coming up here, bursting out in eastern portions of eastern Oklahoma. And then we continue all the way into like tomorrow. This is 19 hours out from now. We get into tomorrow. And we still see that, very high number of Cape, almost 5,000 joules per kilograms out here in eastern Colorado, northwestern Kansas. And then we get through all the way through tomorrow, and look how much this threat for severe weather and this these favorable conditions of severe weather diminish. This is really really interesting to see how we go from almost everyone, at least 3,000 joules per kilograms of CAPE, and then now we almost see nobody at that level. So very interesting to see. That maybe this will tell us that the tornado threat will be a little bit closer to those overnight hours of tonight. That could always be a possibility, but you never know with these storms. So, really, once you get into the overnight hours of tonight, this severe weather threat will, die down extremely fast, and it will eventually get down to almost a 0% chance of, severe thunderstorms, seeing severe thunderstorms for everybody. But you go over to the Northeast, looking at what's in stock for you guys today. You start out where we are right now. It's about 11 a.m., so this is just 3 minutes ago. So pretty much where we are now. You got some very, very intense storms just north of the Finger Lakes region, of along the northern, near upstate New York and Canadian borderline. You've got some intense to severe thunderstorms moving across this area. And look at this, all of you guys in upstate New York are going to see these storms, and they are going to be intense as this system eventually gets a bit stronger, and then we start seeing another line of storms move its way down into the Delmarva area, past Delaware, and into parts of Virginia. Now, this line of storms is going to be a hail producer. Maybe it'll even trigger some flash flooding out here. You never know. But all along the New Jersey and the Pennsylvania borderline, you have some very, very intense thunderstorms. These are what could be severe. And then look at this across portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, a line of thunderstorms that looks pretty strong to me. And then we see these storms finally get closer to the coastline. This is where I think 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. is where you could have damaging wind gusts. I think you could see, just based on looking at what these storms are looking like out here, in across New Jersey, the Toms River area, down into Delmarva and Virginia. These storms are definitely going to be concerning to me. I think these could definitely produce damaging wind gusts. Up here is where the tornado threat persists. I think if you're going to see tornadoes, it would pretty much be in central to northeastern Massachusetts, but I don't expect any tornadoes today. There is a risk for tornadoes. There is a 2% risk right now. And we get to 8 p.m., and then you could be going to bed in Boston and listening to rumbles, bangs of thunder, some lightning, and maybe even some hail and damaging wind gusts. I think you guys in Boston are going to get hammered for hours tonight. I think anywhere from 7 to 10, maybe even we see 11 p.m. still raining in Boston, still raining across the eastern coast of Massachusetts, Cape Cod. Then it finally pulls out. But you could even have some intense to severe storms across portions of, western New York City. I mean, western Long Island, that kind of area. I don't think you guys in eastern Long Island will see any of these storms. But I think if you're closer, if you're farther west, a lot closer to New York City or closer to New Jersey, I think that's where you could see some more of those intense storms rather than just regular thunderstorms or showers and thunderstorms. But we get to tomorrow. Tomorrow starts severe weather, very very low. You only have some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the region tomorrow, and then that's going to be pretty much it. Although we get into this would be, I guess, Monday. You're getting into Monday. You see some more convection out here, some more thunderstorm action popping up. But we'll talk about that in a future update. So we move on to the Cape. For you guys in the Northeast, I'm going to fly through this quickly. We get through the afternoon hours of today, and it's really, right now, is pretty much the highest hour of Cape. You see, just off the coast of Long Island and Rhode Island, you have joules almost 4,000 joules per kilograms of Cape. That's pretty high. You could see an area up here, down up here in Western Ohio. You guys are going to be in the 3,000s. Look at this purple area. You're up into the 4,000. Well, actually, not quite. Yep, 4,000s. So it's going to be pretty intense for this entire region. I think any of you guys except if you're closer to the extreme coastline could see severe storms. I think everybody except the area of northern Maine and parts of eastern Long Island are going to see severe storms. But these two areas are probably not going to see any severe storms today. Um, but let me go back to my mouse here, and you can see that this wave of moisture and favorable conditions continues to push off to the east. We got into the overnight hours. These are when the storms diminish. Here we go. They fire up again. A really, really huge and intense area of moisture and just energy is going to be moving across the eastern seaboard, and then eventually we get all the way into like this is the overnight hours of tomorrow. I would guess. Actually, no. This would be the morning hours of tomorrow. This would be the very early morning hours of tomorrow. So I'm kind of losing my time from here. You start seeing some more favorable conditions for severe weather, but closer to the coastline, a lot closer, including coastal regions of Massachusetts, interior parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, parts of Long Island, New Jersey, Delmarva area. Then you get into tomorrow afternoon. That entire threat goes away, and then here's that storm buildup again. And then that's just 2 days out from now. So, we look at the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, right now. For now, you have a slight risk for that area of the Northeast, including all of Long Island. So, very interesting to see that move by the Storm Prediction Center. And you've got all of New Jersey, Delmarva area, all of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and pretty much all of Massachusetts under that slight risk. Here's that enhanced risk. Northwestern, Missouri, parts of southeastern Nebraska, and parts of northeastern Kansas. Enhanced risk is level 3 out of 5. That is relatively high, so watch out for some of the storms. That's going to be intense. But you've got 4 areas under a slight risk. The one up here in North Dakota, parts of North Dakota, closer to Montana, down into parts of South Dakota. There's here one just east of the Rockies, parts of southeastern was southeastern Wyoming. And then you've also got the slight risk coating that enhanced risk, stretching its way down into parts of central and eastern Missouri, and then obviously that slight risk in the northeast. Tornado threat for today. I think it's going to be highest in this area of the northeast. It's 2% risk, so relatively low, but you could maybe have some brief spin ups across parts of Western Massachusetts, all of Connecticut, it's possible, Rhode Island, parts of New Jersey, northern New Jersey, Long Island, and southern New York State. Wind threat for today, it's the same for the categorical outlook. So all of those slight risks, except up here in the Dakotas, are under a 15% risk for damaging wind gusts, but that enhanced risk area is under a 30% risk for damaging wind gusts. So that's pretty much what's going to be driving that enhanced risk, those damaging wind gusts, that potential. We go to the hail threat. It's a 15% risk with a hatched risk up here in the Dakotas. So interesting to see that. But we have a huge, thin area that streaks all the way from northern to central Montana down into the central U.S. and then rides the jet stream up into the portions of the Northeast. So that's pretty much it for the SBC for today. We go to the day 2 outlook. You're up to a marginal risk. We're not going to talk about that. Just looking at a peek at the day 3, same thing, but different area. So we look at the National Hurricane Center Atlantic 7-day outlook. Now, I recently talked a lot deeply about the Atlantic, kind of about the chances for development at that time. That was about a week ago, and we did have a tropical wave that was very, very close to becoming a tropical storm Emily, but just could not do it. But we have another chance here, as there is a high chance for development posted out here for the central and southern Atlantic. So we're going to read about this. We've got disorganized cloudiness and showers located about 1,100 miles east of the Leeward Islands are associated with a tropical wave. Environmental conditions are expected to be favorable or for gradual development of the system during the next few days. So that means that it's looking pretty possible and pretty likely that we'll see development if the National Hurricane Center this early is already saying that there's favorable conditions out there for tropical development. But development of the system during the next few days is possible. A tropical depression is likely to form during the early part of next week, and the disturbance is forecasted to move west northwestward to northwestward about 15 miles per hour during the next day or so, and then turn northwestward to northward over the central tropical Atlantic Monday to Tuesday. So for now, we've got a high 70% chance of formation throughout the next 7 days, a low 20% chance of formation through the next 48 days. So we'll have to continue tracking the system as it looks like this could be Tropical Storm Emily, but we just have to continue watching how this does out there. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. And We'll see you guys in the next video. So stay safe with that severe weather potential. I know it's going to be a little bit scary out there with those damaging wind gusts that we saw in the NAM, but you just gotta don't be scared, be prepared, and just be ready for anything that can happen today. And we'll obviously continue watching the tropics. So have a great day, and we'll see you guys next video.